Hi friends, it's Deanna here today, and today we're going to be sewing the Straight Fit Raglan top. It is super comfy, super cute, and super easy. Let's do it. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grab one of our bodices, the front or the back, it really doesn't matter, and we're going to place it face up on our board. I'm gonna grab one of our sleeves, and we're going to place it face down, so right sides together on top. Now you'll find that one side of the sleeve will be longer than the other side, so you know that that's not the side that goes on that side. So you're gonna put it on the other side, so they should match up. And then you're going to pin, got a little thread going on. You're gonna pin and sew that edge. I'm going to be using my serger, but you can use any kind of stretch stitch on your machine or sewing machine. If you don't have a serger, you can do this pattern with the sewing machine as well. So don't let that intimidate you. That's because I'm using a serger. That's you can do with a stretch stitch, zigzag stitch, lightning bolt stitch. What I would recommend is trying out the different stitches on your machine and seeing which one will work best for the fabric you're using. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew those sides, and then we'll come back and attach them to the other bodice. Right, so now I'm gonna do it on the other side as well. Grabbing that front side. Oh, my iron is turning off. Let's turn it on. Actually, that reminds me. Thank you, iron. I like to go ahead and steam those sleeves. And actually, this is the best time to do it right after you attach them and you haven't closed it up yet. So let's do this one side of sleeves. I like to steam that seam because it gives you a better, I was gonna say very and better at the same time. So it's a better look to your seam when you steam it. This one's gonna look really good. So I like to do that. So thank you for reminding me. And so now I'm gonna put my other bodice right side up on my board, and I'm grabbing that sleeve and I'm putting right sides together again on the other side so it can match up those raw edges. And we're gonna do that for both sides. So your bodice, other bodice is here, and we're attaching that sleeve to the other side. If you don't know which sleeve is to which side, you can always obviously go over there to your pattern and mark where it says front and back. Do a little, maybe put a different color pin for the front or back. That way you know exactly which one it is, so you don't get confused when you're actually going to attach. Some fabrics, like this fabric, is very soft and stretchy, has a really good, nice drape to it. But it can also, like, I could stretch it and make it fit. Well, we don't want to do that. We want it to actually fit. So you need to make sure that you look at both and see which one it actually is the one that goes on that side. So now that I'm done pinning, we're going to go ahead and sew those raw edges. All right, friends, it is looking good. And you can go ahead and steam those edges as well on your shirt that you just created. And then we're gonna go ahead and meet right sides together, the top and the sleeves, and we're going to sew that raw edge on the side. So we're gonna match up the side seams and go all the way down the top and all the way down the sleeves and pin and sew. So you sew that side together. Honestly, this top is so super easy. I am super excited. And I am so glad that we have the straight fit now, because I feel like it opens the door to be able to sew for so many more people. And I love it. I love it. Let me know in the comments who you're sewing this one up for. Who are you working? Whose top are you making? I'm making this one for my husband, who is super picky. I know he loves blue, so I'm hoping that this blue and kind of just solids he'll be like, oh yeah, I like that. And I'm hoping that like the softness of the fabric will be like win him over. So we'll see. But he is so funny. He is super picky when it comes to clothing. So I don't really usually sew for him very much. So I was very excited when I saw the size chart, and I'm like, oh, I can make one for my husband, so he'll hopefully he'll really like it. All right, friends, it's coming along. It's looking so good. I might just have to keep this one for myself. If he doesn't like it, I'm fine with it because I love it already. And it is so soft. I'm using French terry. It's like a baby French terry for my sleeves, and I'm using a cotton spandex for my bodice, but it's a very thin cotton. So it's super, super soft and super drapey. I love it. So I'm going to be working on cuffs. I am going to do cuffs on this one. So we're going to do that next. I am not doing waistband on it. I'm hemming the waistband. So the waistband is pretty much done the same way as the cuffs, but what you're going to do first is you're going to put one waistband on top of the other. Sew those raw edges. After you sew those raw edges, you're going to fold it wrong sides together to create the little circle, and then we're going to attach them. But first, I went ahead and folded my cuff in half, and I'm going to fold it long to the raw edges long ways. So here's my cuff, and I'm going to go ahead and sew that raw edge. Now, I'm making cuffs and doing the cuff version, but since I'm not doing the waistband, we do have a tutorial on how to do the perfect waistband, armband, neckband. So all about bands, and you can go check that one out if you need some help on how to put the waistband on. But like I said, it's going to be pretty much the same way that we're going to add these cuffs. I'm just going ahead and doing my other cuff as well, so I might as well get them on over with. And I'm going to go ahead and sew that show raw edge right there, so they're like the cuff size. I am back with my sewn cuffs. I'm just going to trim these serger tails because I'm going to sew over them anyway, and I just kind of want them out of my way. So I'm going to fold it wrong sides together to create the actual cuff. So now this is how your waistband would basically look if you were doing the waistband, except for you would have two seams instead of just the one seam. Because we saw, yeah, I just licked my finger. Because we saw that one in half. And then we're gonna go to the front and mark our half. Now, with a waistband, you already have your halves. I would mark your sides, but I'm just marking my front, my two sides, I'm sorry, for my cuff, because I think that's enough. I'm gonna grab my sleeve, and I have my seam over here. I'm gonna mark my other side. And what I do is I'm gonna show you, it's just a little notch. And then I'm gonna grab my cuff and I'm gonna fit it in, right sides together, into my sleeve and match up that seam to seam, and then match up that half to the little mark I made half over here. And you would do the same thing with your waistband. You would match up. Then I'm gonna go to my serger and sew those 3 layers together. I'm gonna do the same thing for my other cuff, and sew them together at the same time. When you're sewing your cuff, you wanna get that first half right there in, and then we're gonna go and pull right here where your first mark is, and kind of pull and even out those that cuff to match the raw edge of your sleeve, and sew. Now that our cuffs and our waistband, our waistband is done, though I didn't do my waistband yet because all I'm doing is hemming. But our cuffs are done. It's looking great. We're going to work on our neckband, which I love doing neckbands, actually. I used to dread neckbands, but now I love them. I'm going to grab my neckband. I've got all these little notches everywhere. And I'm going to first fold it wrong sides together to create that memory crease like we did on our armbands, so that way it's nice and even, and that way when I sew it on the round, it's easier for me to fold. Grabbing my iron and steaming. Okay, then I'm going to open that neckband, and I'm going to match that raw edge, the short raw edge, right sides together right here, and I'm going to sew. Let me go ahead and do that real quickly. Here we are. I'm gonna clip those tails because again, I'm going to run over them when I sew. And I'm gonna go ahead and fold it wrong sides together, just like I did my armbands. Pretty much all bands are done the same way. And then I'm going to make sure I fold it correctly so my raw edges are touching and they're nice and even. Then I'm going to go ahead and grab from the back to the front and mark. Again, I'm doing the little notchy thing because I feel like it helps me so much to get the perfect neckband. I'm gonna match up the front and the back, and I'm gonna go to the sides. But then I end up with like little pieces of fabric everywhere. As you can see, there's like little, maybe you can't see, there's like little pieces of fabric, and I don't think I notched it big enough. I wanna make sure I see it when I'm sewing, because that is the reason why I'm notching, so that in case that when I do move my pins, I can still see exactly where my neckbands are supposed to match. Then I'm going to quarter my top. I'm gonna grab my sleeves, raw edges, seams together and go to the front, back seams together and go to the back. Then I'm gonna match my front and back notch together and go to one side and notch. And I'm gonna clip these threads because they bother me. Do you clip your threads or do you just leave them there? And then match those and go to the other side. Then I'm going to go ahead and grab my neckband that I already created, and I'm going to put them together, mark those quarter points. Remember to do your back seam on the back. Just matching quarter seam to quarter seam, quarter notch to quarter notch, and then we'll go and sew. All right, you all, as I'm sewing my neckband, I wanted to come close up so I can show you just exactly how I do it. I find my back seam, and that's what I like to start, and make sure that they all line up, my shirt and my two sides of my neckband. Lift up my presser foot, get it right under there, and get it ready. And then I'm going to grab my first quarter point, and I'm going to pull my neckband to match my shirt, the edge of my shirt, and I'm going to sew. When I get to that quarter point, I remove that pin and I go to the next section, making sure nothing is cut underneath it that doesn't need to be. Match up those raw edges, pull it gently. My neckband is always face up so I can see where I'm sewing. And I kind of take my time with my neckband because I want a really good neckband. And then I go all the way around the same way. All right, my neckband is done and it looks great. Now I'm just gonna give it a really good steam. If it's a little bit wavy or anything like that, giving it a good steam will help it lay flat, nice and flat, and look just the way you want it to look on. Look professional. And I always like my seams, my serger, to be facing the same way. So when I go around the whole top, I make sure that my serger is laying flat against the top, against the wrong side. It's not, I don't want it laying up on some places and down in some places, because then your neckline will not look as nice. And now all I have left to do is to hem my top, and that is what I'm going to do next. So I'm just gonna fold over 1/2 inch, seam, and hem on my cover stitch, and we'll be done. We are done, D-O-N-E, done. And it looks so good. I love it. I love the cuff sleeves. I love the fit. Well, I haven't tried it on yet. I mean, I love the way it looks like it's gonna fit. It's so soft and cozy, and I am super excited to show it to my husband. I hope he loves it. I hope you enjoyed this sewing tutorial. Please let me know if you have any questions. Let me know who you're making it for and how easy is this sew. Super, super easy. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook so you can see what everybody else is making and you can be inspired to make your own creations. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye. So hubby tried on the top and he didn't really love how drapey the fabric was and how thin, but I think it looks perfect as an oversized raglan on me. But then my father came to town and he tried it on and he loves it when I sew for him. And when I saw that smile on his face, I knew he had to keep it.